So Dara, you've been through various hype cycles of in-game advertising. Why did it take so long to get where we are now?
I think a lot of it had to do with educating the clients, the brands on what you can do in advertising, how to approach it, what are the different channels, what are the different audiences. It's a very complex environment. It's not as simple as I'm going to do one campaign that's going to carry on to everybody. And so that took years. In some cases, it took also people on the client side to really start understanding it and getting involved. Other disciplines are well established in the client. They know everything about TV, they know everything about digital, print, etc. They don't know much about gaming.
So why do you think we might be set up for more growth this time around in game and advertising?
Again, I think clients themselves, there are now a lot of people that know more about gaming. They're gamers themselves, or they have kids that play games that push them in specific directions. They ask them about titles and what mom and pop do in gaming from an advertising perspective. So I think there are a lot more people that are getting involved. Primarily because people that started playing games years ago are now in positions in marketing with different brands that can push that agenda, can be more interested and more involved.
Two of the biggest players here are not, when I'm talking about Epic Games or Roblox, advertising is not their primary business. Does that make it harder to work with those companies, or are you seeing a lot of excitement there and growth?
Depending on the company you talk to, some of them like an Epic, etc. Obviously, the majority of their business comes from selling content and services in games, right? So it really depends on which product you're talking about. I think where it gets more interesting is on the viewing part of the equation. So when brands are looking at the space, they should not be looking only at the games themselves, but at people who are playing the games and have huge audiences and channels that they can create that story. Right. Whether it's Twitch or YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, you have that horizontal marketing effect that you can definitely leverage. And these guys actually rely a lot more on ad dollars than the game publishers themselves.
What areas got you most excited, where you're trying to direct your clients? What's got you most excited right now in this sector?
Again, I think we've been looking primarily mostly at in-game advertising for many years, and now that the equation has shifted to the watching side of things. So people who play those games, they have millions of people watching them across multiple channels. And how do you create a story for a brand that is through the voices of those influencers? And that can happen on any channel. It could be on Twitch, it could be on YouTube, it could be on TikTok, Instagram, you name it. So they have that horizontal engagement, horizontal marketing effect, where you don't buy a vertical, right? Like a Twitch only or YouTube only, but you buy horizontally. One voice that goes across all of those channels.
Are there really good examples of very successful campaigns you've executed?
Yeah, I can't get into details on specific campaigns, but I would say if you look at brands like Mountain Dew, a lot of the Pepsi brands, a lot of even like some of the automotive brands in general have been very successful in engaging both on the play side of things, but also on the watching side of things.
Are you still hearing clients come to you and ask about how to get started in the metaverse?
That was more a question last year, I would say. People a little bit forgot about that one. There's still people that are trying to figure out, do we experiment in there? How much do we want to spend? I think there's a big difference between Web3 metaverse and Web2, right? So Fortnite worlds, Roblox, those are really more accessible and more in line with, existing massive audiences that play those games. Web3 is a little more complicated. So yes, there's still a discussion around that, but not as much interest, I would say, as last year.
Lastly, what do you think about the opportunity to bring together commerce and gaming?
I mean, there are opportunities right now. You can bring together commerce and gaming through game influencers, through custom content that you create with talent, whether it's within an esports league or a team or a game influencer themselves. I think when you talk about in-game, that's a little more difficult, especially on the HD side, which means consoles and PC. And it's a little easier perhaps on mobile. Mobile is definitely a more flexible platform. but it's also a very different audience. It's not exactly the same audiences.
You mentioned esports. That area has gone through a lot of ups and downs this year. Are we seeing like a little bit more of a shakeout? Or are we seeing some kind of established mainstream leagues?
Yeah, I think a lot of the teams spent a little too much. The teams that are still successful, I think, are the ones that can balance the competitive angle of esports with the content angle. So big teams like FaZe Clan, for example, they have really more content now than even the esports side of things, the competitive side. So those who are successful in the future are going to be the ones that can balance the competitive side with the teams that actually play this game with different leagues, but also the content creators, who may be ex-pros that now decided to go on the streaming side of things. And if they're successful in creating custom content for brands, within the esports team, those are the ones that are gonna succeed in the future.